Welcome back to the Codiel podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about relationships from the lens of scripture and good old common sense. And we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your friends if you like what we bring. Zal, what you got for us?
All right. So y'all know I love icebreaker questions. So I have a couple you get to choose from. The first one is, what is a perk that you enjoyed at a previous job? Or if you lived to be 400 years old, what would you do differently today? So there's two ends of the spectrum. So if you live to be 400 years old, what would you do differently today? Or what was a perk that you really, really enjoyed at a previous job?
I'll do the previous job one.
Okay.
Like I communicated with my employer that I wanted to observe Sabbath, sunset, right? He just gave me Fridays off. So I had every Friday off. Just like that.
Oh,
Hey,
Yep.
that was easy.
that's, you might have me beat. So I did have a job that had unlimited paid time off.
What?
Wow.
Which it was hard to beat. I knew one lady, she was just gone for 3 months, and that was just.
Is it
had to be
unconditional
done.
PTO? Is it unconditional PTO? Like,
I mean, you have to still know how to do your job when you get back. You can't just.
Yeah, that's the thing. You stay gone long enough, you might forget.
That part.
But yeah, so I had a friend, his brother got married in India. He was gone for a month. And it's just like, yeah, what you got to do. Okay. Indeed.
Okay. Jazz, what about you?
I mean, my previous job perks were food related.
Tell us.
Nice.
I worked at Cold Stone. We were able to, I think we got one free item a day.
I'd be enormous.
My first job was Starbucks. And so at Starbucks, like if you mess up a drink or something, you could have it. Actually, we could drink unlimited, I think, at the time. I don't know what it is now, but you could drink unlimited. And another restaurant I worked at, whatever was new on the menu, you had to try it so that you could speak to it. So, yeah, just getting to eat. And then my roommate had a job. They had like the best snacks. She would bring home food. So that was my favorite perk of her job. So it was all food.
Nice.
that counts. It counts. Counts.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to do the perk as well. I remember I'm like a summer camp person. So I grew up going to summer camp, not every year, but grew up going to summer camp. And then when I turned 13, I became a CIT counselor in training. So when I finished graduate school, graduate school, I moved back home to Miami and I was working in the city called Aventura. And the first year, I was just like, I was puffing my chest. I was like, y'all been in summer camp since I was 13. I was like 23 at that time. And so they were like, we should make you a manager. And they were like, well, we can't make you a manager this year, but we can put you with travel camp, y'all. So instead of being in the hot sun every single day, guess what I did every day? We went on field trips every single day. We went to ice skating and we went bowling. We went... every day we went to the Children's Museum and we went swimming every Wednesday. So literally, you get to camp at 9 o'clock. We left at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
And we were gone for the whole day. So travel camp was such a perk for me, just being like, oh, I should be a manager because I'm tenured in the parks and recreation world.
Right.
But y'all know me. Y'all know I'm at least try. And so that was my perk for sure.
That's amazing.
Dope. You give summer camp energy.
Yes,
Like,
he does.
you're like, yeah, let's jump in the pool, guys. Let's go. Let's do this dance,
Kids
y'all.
love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you make up a handshake with
For
each
sure.
individual
Bro, that's
kid.
totally me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can see that.
We need-
I can see that.
We do need a handshake.
Yeah. Handshake coming soon. Handful handshake.
Yeah.
Nice.
That sounds like it could be like
A thing.
an ice cream store.
Right?
Like,
The handful handshake.
Yeah.
Do you always have ice cream and shakes on the brain?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No judgment,
actually.
just curious.
So can I tell you about my favorite shake?
Sure.
The favorite shake I've ever had was at Handel's handmade ice cream in California. So I saw this really intriguing flavor on the menu, and I was like, I think I could build a milkshake around it. So there was like a vanilla, like caramel flavor and that I put in there, praline pecan flavor I put in there, like a basic like chocolate chip flavor I put in there, next to this next flavor called Graham Central Station. So think graham cracker ginger snap. Top tier, one of the best
That
ice creams
sounds
I've ever
like
had.
Yeah. I love ginger snaps. I love cinnamon, all the things.
All those warm flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So now that the ice cream conversation has almost gotten out of hand, let's cut it, a little bit. So we'll jump right into our topic. Today, we are kicking off a series on the 7 deadly sins in relationships. So, some people might be aware of the anime 7 deadly sins, or like just the concept, from church and stuff. Like there's different tendencies that we can have, but we're opening up with wrath today. 7 deadly sin number 1 is going to be wrath.
All right.
So I know this is probably going to take a more somber tone as an episode, because wrath and anger kind of has been known to shatter many families. Let's talk about it.
Before we get into that, I just gotta welcome my boy.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Justin Kelly. Yo, Justin,
Tis
he's my guy. You all saw his wife on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. And I mean, he's just a great guy. He is a techie. He is a cosplayer. He is a conversationalist, a man of God.
He can sing.
I mean, he can sing. I mean, he does it all. So
Yes.
I do have a lot of talents.
Yes, you do.
Indeed. I'm very honored to be here. This is awesome. So, yeah, thanks for inviting me for the darkest and heaviest topic. I appreciate that.
ever talked about.
But, yeah, man, let's get into it. I'm here for it.
Wrath, anger, and families. Let's dive in.
So y'all know the Bible verse, right? That's the first thing, you found out, don't let the sun go down on your anger.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's like, one of the classics. If you get into marital counseling, they'll tell you just, talk it out, settle it. Because if you go to sleep on it, you let that thing sit too long, then, you wake up, oh, she was doing this, da-da-da-da-da, and you got this whole storyline. And they got their own storyline. And now, I don't know what y'all talking about, but y'all not talking about the same thing anymore. Have y'all experienced? I've experienced that. Have y'all experienced anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, look how quiet it is. Oh, man, it's rough. Oh, it's rough.
Definitely.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble with the saints of God. You know what I'm saying? So Martha and I, we've had a lot of growth. We've been together since like 2012. Like we started dating in 2012 as like we were basically like just kids, basically. So we had a lot of growing to do. So in those earlier times, you find that a lot of conversations that should be had aren't had because you're literally not capable of really digesting that level of conversation yet. So what happens is people making up stories about what the other person thinks or intends. And then you have your own things to work through, right? You might be insecure about something. You might have written a story that they are, hating you for your insecurity. And now you have anger, right? So now it's all about the exit from there. So like we definitely grew a lot. We grew a lot. We had several different like tough conversations, but thankfully no physical altercations at any point. Like that's one thing that we never did. But I know that's not the same story for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
So nobody broke anything?
No.
Okay, praise God.
Do y'all think on TV I feel like I've seen that more by God's grace. I haven't seen that a lot in my own personal life, but me and Jasmine are TV people. We grew up watching a lot of TV, but every episode it was like that dad or that uncle coming back, or I'm thinking about Good Times. I'm sure they had a character like that daddy. I mean, he had like the wrath of God, when he spoke and when he said we're gonna do something. But do you all think that like TV did an accurate or inaccurate portrayal of wrath and anger? Because a lot of stuff is caught, not taught.
Like the way that they handled wrath.
Showed it right.
I think that TV tends to dramatize things, but it does pick things that are true for somebody.
Right.
Somebody. Unless it's Tubi. Like it's just Yeah. But yeah, you'll see movies like, say, No Good Deed, or like, where well, I don't really remember the movie that much, but like where there's a blow up of some kind, or like there's violence that's impending, right? Of course, like most people aren't going to have this life or death situation where like they have to like defend themselves from some attacker of some kind.
Right.
But like TV does highlight some things that do happen,
Yeah.
Or the inspiration.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's a few things, right? So TV, and I think as a storyteller, right, I'm like, well, I have a particular thing I'm trying to accomplish in this 30-minute or 1 hour session, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna resolve, in order for it to be satisfying, I gotta resolve this thing in an hour. And then in, real life, stuff doesn't get resolved in an hour. It didn't start, you know what I'm saying? It's not, everything's to be continued in real life, right?
Yeah.
And it's also dramatized, right?
Right.
So if I'm doing a TV character that's angry, they're gonna, first of all, they're gonna be more violent than someone would be in real life, right? And then whatever the issue is, either that character's a guest character, they're gonna be gone because they just were totally off, or it's gonna be like, oh, I see now, I shouldn't act out like that, and then we won't see that ever again in the rest of the series. But in real life, like if I'm angry with Cherie, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not touching Cherie. Like that's not gonna happen.
You're right.
But she gonna ask me to do something. And that's also not gonna happen, right? Like it's and so that's more like it, right? That selfishness is now up against my internal narrative, the stuff we haven't dealt with, and then that becomes an ongoing issue because now she has actual stuff to be upset with me about, right? And then you know what I'm saying? Now we have more stuff to unpack and more stuff to forgive, and so that process is I find it to be ongoing, right? I still have issues. I'm supposed to say my wife has no issues. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how human beings work. It's just we're helping each other to grow, and part of that process is me finding out there's some things that were totally fine when I was single. No one had a problem. I had roommates; they had no problem. But I get married, and my wife is like, "I got to do this for 50 years." Now she's angry. I'm like, oh, this actually, and now my character flaws are out here. I'm like, oh, well, I guess this.
And you gonna feel the wrath of your wife.
Yeah,
Straight
and so
up.
now because of her anger, right? And when we have anger anywhere, it's our it's a value statement, right? So that makes it spiritual, right? My spirit's telling me there's some injustice being done that needs to be corrected. I don't always see that in myself, but my wife sees it. There's some injustice in your character in your life, Justin. So she's angry, right? And there's a way for her to handle that, but she's able to have that, and she should have that because that's a chance for me to see myself, and vice versa. And so it has a use and a purpose to be able to help us, to motivate us to address each other. But it's just when it doesn't get dealt with, right? When it doesn't get addressed,
Right.
When anger goes beyond our limits, right? It goes beyond our mercy, it goes beyond our standards and our character, then it becomes wrath. And then stuff gets broken, there's silent treatment, there's yelling, there's, you're just like your mama. Like it gets real ugly.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Because now it's somewhere else. It's untreated. And that's not safe.
Yeah. Anger is like wrath is like, I'll say anger. It can be a good servant and a bad master. Kind of like fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
When you channel it into the direction that is going to be helpful, you can really affect change. You think Martin Luther King wasn't angry before he got up on that stage and gave this speech,
Amen.
Right? But it's a bad master. If anger becomes your master, somebody's gonna get hurt.
And you're always leading with anger.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes, anger prevents like true accountability sometimes, because a lot of people will have the illusion that anger is a result of something from outside, or somebody did something that made me angry, right? But usually the anger comes from your perception of a situation. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind is men. Like, usually men are like deemed as angry or supposed to be angry. And in a lot of cases, you're not angry, you're actually really hurt. You're disappointed. You are actually, you feel rejected. And so, you know, I think about, unfortunately, men who have fatally harmed people, women, people, whatever the case may be. We'll just say women for this conversation, because they were rejected, you know, in front of your boys, and now you want to unalive someone because of that, right? It's just like, wait, why did you go from 0 to 100? Because she's like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like, hey, I got somebody at home, but now you want to just make sure that she feels your wrath or whatnot. So it's actually because you felt rejected, you felt hurt, you felt embarrassed. Like, these are all feelings, but it's under the umbrella of being angry.
Right. So there's a tool that a therapist shared with me. Like, it's an emotional. People always talk about the emotional. Oh, happy, sad, exasperated. No, let's leave that one alone, because there's this other one that helps people better navigate what emotions actually feeling.
It's like the wheel, and it has the other ones embedded under it.
So it's a wheel still, except this time it tells you what feelings you might be feeling in your body and pairs them to emotions.
That's
So
good.
it's got things on the outside like, feeling unsteady, feeling cold, tense, speechless, you know, jaw dropping, like inflated, tall, you know, like those kind of words. And then it goes back and says, okay, unsteady means you could be feeling wanted, which is in the section of fear, right? And then, if you're speechless, it's under confusion, right? Which means you could be feeling surprise, or like, you're feeling flush, your heart's racing. That means you could be feeling aggressive, which points towards anger. But here's the thing about those feelings, because it gets kind of confusing, because what you're feeling, it doesn't always tell you exactly what you're feeling in your body, doesn't always tell you the exact emotion, because racing heart is there for, you know, being mad, but it's also there for being insecure. So like there are think almost like triads, or like big categories of feelings that actually are connected. Like being nervous and being excited it's like the razor's edge of feeling, right? It's just, what's the context? Right. So I think everybody should have this. I'm just gonna hold it up. We're gonna zoom in on it. Just take a look. Just Google what emotions feel like in the body. It's a great resource to navigate for anybody who wants to understand themselves and how they feel as a person. So, because understanding how you're feeling can help to take the gas out of the fire, as it were.
Can I ask you, why did you you were using anger and wrath? You chose not to use them interchangeably. Why is that?
Anger, wrath.
You said anger, and you said, no, I'm going to use anger instead of wrath. Like, why is that?
It's for the same reason that you'll find fire on a stovetop and a fire tearing down acres of forest, but one is useful and one is not.
So there's a difference.
Well, it's because anger untreated becomes wrath. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay.
Like wrath, there's never. I don't think the Bible has any like truly like beneficial references to wrath. I mean, it talks about God's wrath, and God's wrath is everything's coming down, right? That's what wrath is associated with, destruction. You know, even Proverbs coaches us on how to deal with wrath. Hey, give a soft answer. It could calm that down, because we don't want wrath here, but we know that anger can be righteous anger, righteous indignation, because now, hey, no, we can't have this. We're going to do something different. That's an entirely different topic, even though it comes from the same root.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay.
Indeed. Yeah, be angry, do not sin. That's in the Bible too.
Yep.
To touch on what you were saying earlier in terms of, violent men, right? There's a couple of layers to that, but I think one of the most important in terms of understanding who you're looking at when that anger is untreated, right? And when the external feelings go away, that doesn't mean the wrath has gone away. Like they
Right.
still have what we might call unaddressed trauma, right?
Right.
So people who have, a short temper, well, they have a lot of stuff they're still angry about. You know what I'm saying? Because I think many of us have been in situations where we have been short-tempered for a day or maybe even a week, right? And you can imagine extending that. Somebody who's been short-tempered for a decade or since they can remember, this is not a person that you should date. This is not a person that you probably are going to be able to be friends with productively because they have their sensitivity. And sometimes what we don't talk about is how sensitive men are to their external environment and to how the environment is judging them. And so when we see these men who react to their sensitivity with violence, we don't understand, like, me as someone who's not violent, if I go and ask somebody, hey, you want to dance? Hey, you want to do this? And they say no, I don't feel great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I take that like, oh, I guess I'm not. Right? I pick myself up and go ask the next one, right? But it's a process, right? And so someone who's not able to go to that process, that's very, very dangerous. And it doesn't take much. And so these are not people that that are safe to be around. And that is terribly sad. But it's not surprising when we understand trauma and we understand men.
I was, when you were talking, I was thinking how important self-awareness is.
Right.
Because how often have we heard on TV or otherwise within our family, you got a temper just like your daddy, or, you are, short-sighted just like your mom, or, that glaring attitude. And I feel like you hear that at a young age. I feel like when someone hears that at a young age, it can really do a number on them. And so being self-aware of knowing what to impartation is real in younger people, and just being free. Like, let's be free from the things that, such as wrath or anger or temper. You hear that all the time. Yeah, I got a bad temper when I get really upset. I hear young people saying that a lot of times as well. I'm just like, yeah, you don't have to have a bad temper,
Right.
and you know what I mean. But we have to give them practical ways in order not to do that. Like, hey, let's go to the corner and let's have a conversation, or let's do your breathing exercise, count to 10, and take deep breaths between every number. You know what I mean? So we have to be really intentional about that impartation when it comes to that.
Yes, other emotions. That's so crucial. Thank you for saying that. I love the movie Inside Out.
Oh,
Right.
man.
And it shows, even for children, to understand how important sadness is. And so what a lot of children experience, they try sadness and it don't work. Like, they just don't have a support system to help them. And so the only thing they have is a defense mechanism. The only thing they have is anger. And so they get to, 10, 11, 12, like, oh, I got a bad attitude. And what they're saying is, please don't hurt me.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a defense mechanism.
You're right, because I'm gonna hurt you back. You know what I'm saying? They're saying,
Right.
please don't hurt me. And so when we give them opportunities and places to be something else, to do something else, to have a quiet corner, to unload, to have some kind of support, so they can be sad, so they can be scared, right? Then they don't have to keep pouring into that. They don't have to hold on to it, because you can purposely hold on to stuff just so you'll be ready for that. You're not going to try me. I'm not the one. Like, you're 10. Stop it. And so that's crucial. I appreciate that so much.
I think my main lamentation in, I guess, society right now is the fact that, I'll speak for men because I'm a man, right? We aren't really given so many tools. Imagine like a toolbox, right? And in the toolbox, for a toolbox to be effective, you need to have a lot of tools in there.
you do.
And usually men are given one tool, anger, right? And
If all you got is a hammer,
right, you're gonna hit everything, right? And everything's gonna be a nail. But and then do you have contentment, which is just simply the absence of anger, right? So we aren't raised with the full spectrum of tools. So by the time we're 18, we got one tool. And I think women have an advantage in that because you guys are given the tools more or you're allowed to explore the tools more. So you might have, more nuance in how you are allowed to communicate, or just not to pit us against each other, but just
Right.
that's just where we are,
Yeah.
But I think our generation is going to be the one that kind of turns that. That's where we are.
I want to kind of like pivot to a byproduct of anger or wrath, and that's profane language. How do you all feel about people that post memes or wear shirts that says, I curse a little, but I'm still a Christian? How do y'all feel about that? So answer the question, but I'm going somewhere with that.
I think that God can use somebody at any stage that they're at. Because think about it. There is a book of the Bible. No, it's a chapter of the Bible attributed to the king of Babylon, literally the king of the model of sin. Babylon, like Nebuchadnezzar, has a chapter in the Bible. So if his story is relevant, if what God brought him through was relevant enough to make it into the canon, then I think that where somebody is, God can use them. Now, should you stay there willingly? That's kind of being not really a great steward of the gift that God has given you of restoration and growth, right? But God will always meet you where you are. That's how the whole Bible is. He met Israel where they were at when they were in Egypt. He met Abraham as a Moabite when his name was Abram, right? So he will meet you where you are and bring you to where he needs you to be. And there's a whole lot of people that will be blessed by your journey.
Yeah. I think the anachronism is funny, to be very honest. I laugh. Even though the Bible speaks, I'm saying we shouldn't have coarse language named amongst us. Is that something I try to shy away from? But I don't. I have not mastered my tongue, and so I do not judge others who have not.
Mercy. Yes.
We're going to get there together. That's what I'm hoping for.
Jazz, what you think about them shirts? I curse a little, but I'm a Christian, or just the whole premise.
I'm like same side of the two sides of the same coin, and I think of both of your comments as those sides of the coin. Like it is funny, but you shouldn't stay there. And so I think for me, wearing things like that is almost like celebratory. So it's like, it's like you it's not okay, but because you find a way to say it in jest, like it's okay.
Try
or it's like,
Jesus.
or like when people say it try me. And but that's a good one though, because it's like I am a human and I may respond in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna have to ask for forgiveness afterwards. You know what I'm saying? But to plan to do that is different than like knowing it could happen, and but. In that same vein, I was going to say, when people say, like, the Lord is still working on me, but you're not giving him room to work on you. Right. So you just use that as an excuse to just be doing all kinds of stuff. And be like, well, he know my heart. But does he? Because it's your heart to do the things that you saying that the Lord is working on you for, but you should. And you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, he knows your heart. That's why he said this and this and that.
That we shouldn't, right? Or that we need to work on that thing. So, the Lord is working on me, but are you also, faith without works? Are you working on that thing while you believe in God to work on you in that area too?
Right.
That was good. So I'm not going to talk like I have arrived when it comes to that, but I have not. But in the vein of wrath and anger, I was telling my boy, we were having a conversation on, like, Lecrae was talking to Tiffany Hazlitt or something. She has the podcast, like, You're Doing Well, Sweeter, or something like that. And they were just talking about cursing, and Lecrae was saying something about, like, I have a conversation with my children that, like, I'm paraphrasing horribly at this time, but words are just words, and no one really owns words, and this, that, and the third. So I sent to a couple people, and they just had their very specific thoughts. But I had a thoughtful dialogue with a really good friend. He was like, I use it at home, if I'm comfortable, and this, that, and the third. And I had to tell him, and tie him back to anger and wrath. Look at the Bible. My aunt told me this story that really put into perspective, and I was just like, I started very early using bad language because I thought it was cool or to be acceptable, and like now, like I said, I've not arrived, but like I'm nowhere. I don't play those games. I don't want my daughter to when we go to a situation and they're using those things, and we removing ourselves from that. That's what type of man I am. But so if you go back to the Bible, when Peter denied Jesus on the third time,
He was cussing.
He did that. He was cussing though, but he did that to show and prove, like, that's how you really know you're not with Jesus Christ.
Right, to disassociate.
Right. So to y'all who are watching, when we the collective individuals use that profane language, that is a telltale indicator of not walking with Christ. Peter was just like, oh, I'm gonna really show you that I'm not with him. And he said expletive. So, I know we are all works in progress, y'all, but we on Team Jesus, and we can't. When I saw a Facebook post, and it was just like, God's grace goes with us everywhere. But it says God's grace does not go with you for stuff that you already plan on doing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already planning on, I'm mad at Devin, I'm gonna call him, I'm gonna curse you out, right? And I thought that was interesting. I know God's grace and mercy carries all of us, but I saw that quote. It's just like, when you plan to do something, I'm going out tonight, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Oh, God's grace. It's like, come on now. But so that's just my soapbox of,
right.
When a byproduct of anger and wrath is using profane language and cursing or cussing, and we just gotta be very mindful, man, as believers, as Christians. Again, I have not arrived, not anywhere close. However, I am on that journey, and we shouldn't stay in anything that is not serving and being the best representative of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
There's a word all over that one. But we are out of time.
Dang,
out
already?
of time. Yeah.
Hey, we just started.
Yo, listen. But the series is not over. We're gonna, keep having these talks, and just join us again next time. As always, heal responsibly. Kolyo Podcast out.
Peace.